He's going to be at the Improv, 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow. He's a true radio guy more than us.
Yes.
This guy.
More successful.
Definitely more successful.
Definitely. Bigger markets, right?
Interviewed literally every celebrity and every professional athlete in the world.
Correct.
True statement.
Yeah, has actually been on Sway. Has been on Joe Rogan. Chelsea lately.
Well, I haven't been on Chelsea lately.
Well,
I've been.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes, I got you.
Michael Yo.
Yes, Michael Yo is here. Yes, I clap for myself. I do that.
That's all right.
That's what I do.
We can't afford the sound effects applause button.
I know, right?
You know, right off the bat, Michael, I knew this was going to be an easy interview for us because you're so good at interviewing people that I'm sure, and I've heard you in other interviews.
You want to jump?
You're really good interviewee.
You want to jump into that fucking curveball, right? You want to see who's thrown something weird at him and how he's been like.
Well,
I'm good.
I just know I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy because not only is Michael good at interviewing people and just like, he knows what he's doing.
Correct.
But because of that, he knows what he's doing being an interviewee.
Absolutely.
And then I'm like, oh, he's dead.
We've interviewed other people and they're horrible. You know what I mean? We've all done those interviews where you're like, why did I even book you?
Maybe we did one this week.
Yeah. Oh, you're like,
oh yeah, we did. Dude, can we no. Okay.
We were like, why? My thing is, if you're gonna go and do somebody's show, bring it.
Yeah.
Don't go if you don't want to be on it. And like, I've interviewed tons of celebrities, and the biggest problem I have is with like these reality stars.
Oh no.
Because they think they're bigger than actual celebrities. Like, I had this one reality star. I was at a housewife, one of these housewife shows, doing a red carpet, and the lady goes, "I don't want to talk about the housewives." I go, "What else do you have to talk about? Nothing."
Yeah.
But then you talk to Will Smith, The Rock. You talk to
Tom
Cruise. You talk to Robert Downey Jr. They all bring their A game to interviews because they know if I'm here, I'm going to work.
Yeah, and they've done it so much. I think the reality show stars, and you're right, we interviewed someone this week that wasn't in the entertainment background and wasn't used to it, but kind of he's a reality show star now. And it's awkward and hard, and it is, and like
it was hard.
We equate it to running. Like when we interview someone and it's difficult, we're like, man, we had to run on that one. Like, you just never nonstop
a lot
running.
of lifting. You're lifting.
Oh my God,
and then when you get done, there's nothing like the relief that you get. I was happier when this interview ended. I was happier than when my fucking daughter was born. I was like, oh my God, okay, everything's good. We're good. We're out. We got the equipment, everything packed up. We're good. Sam, we good? Sam's like, we're good. I'm like, oh, thank Jesus, we're in the car again.
Those are the worst. You don't get that too much when you interview, like when I'm at these big junkets with these big movie stars, because they all kind of bring it.
Yeah.
But you'll get one that'll kind of throw you off here and there that you think they have a bigger personality than they really do. Like Ben Stiller. Like, I'm a huge fan of Zoolander.
Yeah.
And I remember
he's hilarious.
One of my first interviews was with Ben Stiller for Madagascar 2 or 1. It was one of them.
Gotcha.
And I watched Zoolander the night before. And literally I go, Ben, what's going on? And he goes, hello, Michael. How are you? I'm like, who the
Get all
hell?
serious.
I'm like, what? But he's a serious guy until you get him to that point where it's fun.
We had him on the phone at when you and I were doing Monsters. We had him on the phone, I think, one time. And when I picked up, because at that point I was doing phones and everything in the producing room. And when I was talking to him, he's very serious.
Oh yeah,
he was like, "Hi, I'm here for the interview. I'm just calling in for the interview. I
he's
only have 12 minutes hard."
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, but once you at the end, we were laughing and joking, but it took like a couple minutes to get him to that point because Chris Rock, believe it or not, what I love about him is that when you interview him, you have to earn his comedy.
Okay,
he's not going to give it to you. If you ask him normal questions, he's not going to be like, well, I'm going to make this funny. No, he's not going to do that. You have to talk about something funny for him to be funny. And he has to think it's funny.
I kind of like that.
Where Kevin Hart, as soon as he comes, hey, man, what's going on? All right, let's do it. He's all over the place.
But I think he loves that, too. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I mean, every night he could be like me, tortured tapestry of fucking nightmares where I go to bed crying, anxiety blanket upon anxiety blanket covering me.
You have problems. I'm learning a lot about you.
He knows.
Oh, it's a mess.
It's all the problem. It's like only bats in there.
I'm curious, speaking of interviews, like, we found from doing podcast style interviews on this couch and interviewing celebrities and stand-up comedians that when they first come in, a lot of them, they're used to certain types of interviews from traveling around every morning show, every TV show stuff. So they're in kind of like, okay, I'm in that mode. So then like the first 15 minutes, we find them like kind of in the mode, going through the motions of a normal interview. And then they realize it's more of a long form podcast.
Yeah.
And then
they're
all of a
worn
sudden,
out.
Then they get settled down, and then we start getting really good stuff, and it becomes comfortable. And then it's like, okay. And like there is like a formula to it. Now you, from doing so many TV interviews with and shorter, span of time,
literally
that's harder, man.
You have 8 minutes.
That's to me is insanely like, people don't realize how hard it is to do your job and to do what you do. Because with that small amount of time and with that
insane.
much pressure, with the best, biggest celebrities in the world,
and bigger than that, the station you work for, whatever show, they have a list of questions that they need done. So you have to ask these questions, get moments. My big thing on TV, people hire me, is to get moments. Yeah. Like these moments where it's like, Denzel, I got one with him last week on the red carpet. I was working for Entertainment Tonight. And the moment was I asked his wife what makes Denzel so great, and she lists a couple of things, but she didn't really answer the question. And she gave me this look, and then Denzel looked at me and was like, "Oh, she about to whoop your ass," But that's one of those moments that nobody else got. So anytime you can get an artist laughing or a celebrity laughing or saying something that they're not going to say for the rest of the line they go down, those are moments, and that's why I love being on the carpet. So and you only have 8 minutes to create those moments. So imagine you're walking into a room cold, where they're just sitting there. They've been interviewed all day, and you have 8 minutes to make a moment. Like, to me, the rule is 3 moments makes a piece. So you have basically trying to get 3 moments out of that 8 minutes, where in podcast form, you have 30 minutes, an hour, however long you want.
Well, how long were you on Rogan? Like 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
and what I loved about it is so much feedback from Rogan, because people are like, unlike a lot of his interviews, you talked about everything. You went everywhere with Rogan. Y'all went celebrity. Y'all went to conspiracies. Y'all went to, and it was such a great conversation. And to see his operation be in that compound, I mean, it's incredible, and it kind of makes you, and this is what I love what you're doing, you're controlling your own destiny. When you work for other people, they control. That's what I love about stand-up comedy, is I control everything. Sure. And I think my next step is to do what you guys are doing and do the Michael Yo Show, have on comedians, be more pop culture. I want to do it daily, pop culture related. I'll still do stories because people know me for that.
Sure.
But then bring in comedians to talk about them, but then bring in different experts as well. So this, what you're doing, you're ahead of me in this game, because this is what I want to do.
Oh, but you can get here in like a 2 Wednesdays. You'll be fine.
Only for now, until one day when you start, literally 24 hours later, you'll be
better.
10 million times bigger than us. And,
all you have to do is, like, the putting it together part, we got you.
Okay.
But once it's together, in like literally you flip the switch. You're right. As soon as the mics go on, way better.
Well, it's interesting because I wanted to talk to you about this. We live in this this crazy new world where you can like distribute your own content to your own audience, and there's no barrier of entry really, because the internet is everywhere worldwide immediately as soon as you get on there.
100%.
And as you know, like coming up in radio and stuff, and we have radio backgrounds, and like there used to be a barrier to entry. Like, okay, there was TV and radio, and like and radio signals, like you had to get on there. So usually like you had to intern, or there was some you had to work your way in there.
I don't know how you got into radio, but I had to intern.
Oh, I interned for almost a year for free. And then my first night was 2 to 5 a.m. Overnights, and then you move up to nights, and then afternoons, music director, and then from there. And what I feel bad about the radio industry right now is there's no room for new people to come in, so that's why they're podcasting. Radio in itself, they don't develop new talent because those overnights are automated now. Right. But I also love, like, my thing is, you have to work for somebody to make enough money to get you to a place where you can do your own thing.
Sure.
And actually, sometimes you have to work and do both till one takes off, till the thing you want takes off. So that's what I love about comedy. It's turning that corner and starting to move in the right direction. That's what I love about like my future podcast. I've seen it at its best here, of course, and at Rogan. No, because this is a great setup. Like I've done a lot of podcasts. This is an amazing setup.
It's not bad. Thank you.
And you guys got it going on. And this is what I want. Everything I do is everybody I'm around, all my successful friends, my Joe Coy's my mentor, you know what I mean? And I saw a picture of him with you guys in the bathroom.
We love Joe, man.
Joe's the best.
Yeah, he's been in here
every time he comes in there, he's so good to us. He's sweet.
He's the best. And he's like,
dude.
You always have to bet on yourself.
Well, he gave us parenting advice. He fucking roasted you. This motherfucker left his baby outside of the bathroom while he was taking a shit.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. It was a new baby. Like
it's a new baby. That's
makes it worse. It makes it worse.
Now, hold on.
Baby.
I didn't know
before we go down this road,
etiquette.
I don't want to be accused of only bringing up this story when we have Asian comics on.
Wait a minute. Yeah. And why? Is your baby Asian or something? What's going on? Did you adopt it?
I didn't know. I was at Buy My Baby. I had to poop really bad.
True story.
I didn't know to bring the baby inside the stall.
So you left the baby outside?
Well, no, outside the stall. I saw the wheels.
Somebody could have like, oh my God.
Right out.
I saw the wheels. I heard him talk like he was young. Like
that was him yelling when somebody
help
kidnapped
me.
him.
Yeah.
Help me!
We had this big discussion. Joe's just straight roasting him about like,
you don't
did
know
what with your baby? Like,
that's
what
weird,
did
man.
You do? But Joe's
is your kid
always
still
good.
alive?
He's good now.
He's 5.
He's good now.
He's
He's
traumatized.
a little bit weird.
He lives with Joe Coy now. It's
No,
weird.
yeah,
That's how we knew this.
I thought I saw a white
Joe
kid
has
running
this
around.
little white blonde toe-head kid running around. It's not even his.
So Michael, but like going back to like podcasting and radio, but there is something to be said about doing overnights, putting in the time, starting as an intern, the reps of it, and you know, with starting your stand-up
That way
career,
you can equate that to stand-up, right? It's the process,
and like there's no substitute for reps, and and then it's the reps. So like I've seen a lot of podcasts be started with people that don't have radio backgrounds. In fact, you probably know this and seen this. Like when podcasting like started to become real popular, the new move was like, oh, just take any celebrity and give them a podcast, and people will listen. And then they end up be crashing and burning because people have no business like doing a talk show because they have no reps. They're like oh, Shaq, like he's a personality. Let him have a podcast.
If you don't have a certain voice or point of view, or just wacky and crazy, you're not going to make it in podcasting. You know, what makes Joe Rogan so good is because UFC is his base. Those dudes listen for that, but then he can interview anybody and take them any place and talk about anything. Like Theo Vaughn, for instance, he's wild and crazy. He'll say anything.
Yeah.
You know, Brendan Schaub, and Fighter and the Kid, they talk about mainly fighting, but they goof on each other. It's like two best friends hanging out. You have to have an angle. You just can't go on and say, I'm here, listen to me. You know what I mean? And you guys built from, you were on the radio locally, you have an audience.
Yeah, we had to pivot. We knew we had to pivot because, like you said, radio's not bringing in new people. They're not cultivating new talent.
No.
So the future there, not saying that we wouldn't have had a future there. We probably would have, but we're like, well, if we're going to have a future, why not control it like you said?
And you're on your own. My thing about podcasting, which is great, after you see Joe Rogan, it blew my mind. Like the guy, after I went
crazy,
it's a compound.
Yeah.
Like literally it's a warehouse. When I pulled in, I would go, which door is his? Oh, all the doors are his.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that thing where you go in and it's so inspirational where you can leave with two thoughts. I could never do that. I could never do what he's doing. Or you could leave like I did going, oh, I'm going to do exactly that.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring because if he can do it, that means I can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what he puts into the world. Joe Rogan's like, oh, anybody can do this.
Yeah,
he goes, I don't even know what I'm doing and I'm doing this.
Oh, we always try to help. Other comedians have come in here. We've had other people we've had, Damon Wayans is taking pictures. He's like, I need the number of the soundproofing people or who built your table or all these other people. But I'll always help anybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to know our setup. I got it already ready to go. I'll give you the plans.
And Michael, you know
Easy.
the business model behind it, like advertisers and how it works. And it's funny because I remember I've listened to Joe Rogan since he started podcasting, and back when he didn't have any advertisers except for Fleshlight. Because back then it was like when big companies were like kind of shying away.
Hesitant,
They didn't know what podcasting wasn't, but all of a sudden, as soon as they tapped into it, and so like our advertisers as well, they saw the engagement of the
engagement
listeners,
is crazy.
and it blew their minds. Like, I'm sure every advertiser that Joe Rogan has is like, oh my God, this is like, I found a gold mine because your audience is so engaged and it works so much better. We've seen it like based on radio and podcasting, like podcasting, the advertising works so much better than it did in radio.
I will tell you this, me and Joe, if you want to hear the funniest 20 episodes you've ever heard in podcasting, me and Joe did a podcast together.
Yeah.
We only did 20 episodes. Joe and Joe show.
Yeah.
And it was over 6 years ago, and you have to search to find it. It's not even out. Some people put up links, and I'll see it on my Google alert. It is the funniest, and I will put it is the funniest 20 episodes, because we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even collect money on it. We were doing over 250,000 downloads an episode.
That's insane.
And we had no idea. We had no idea till after we were done and stopped it. But why we stopped is because he blew up. I went off in a different direction. I was doing my thing on TV, and we still get stopped to this day. And this is what I'm gonna say to jump on your back on this. It's a thing where the audience is so engaged. We missed one episode, like in the 1 week, and I've never seen so many tweets, hundreds of tweets saying you ruined my day because you were our routine. We were downloaded on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, we would listen to it on the way to work. And that's when I knew the power of podcasting. But my problem back then, I didn't take advantage. If me and Joe would have stayed together for 6 years, we would have been huge now. And he's doing his own thing anyway. He's doing his own koi pond. But that show, for some reason, people still stop us about it.
Yes, I've listened to it. It was so good because I think there was no pressure and you guys were just having fun.
Oh my God, it was so great.
And then
that's how we started too.
Yeah.
It's like we started doing this as a relief to the radio. We do the radio all day, and then we'd make each other laugh in the office afterwards. And I'm like, well, fuck, just come over to the house. We'll have a couple beers and we'll just record this. Just put it out.
And because the people like the non-traditional structure of it, it just
you can
like
be
you said,
uncensored.
You
can
and
just say whatever
Joe,
you want.
two funny ass dudes, just
just
sitting there
laughing.
Yeah, making each other laugh. Yeah, and dude, 250,000 downloads just to like and
that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, even a basic model of like Squarespace or these big podcast advertisers, they're paying like they'll give you 1,000 or what is it, $100 per 1,000 downloads or whatever.
Well, that was the model when we were dabbling in that. We do our own thing now.
Like, and so you you could have been making
$25,000.
$25,000 a commercial spot, and then done 4 commercials. Been making $100,000 a show. That's basically the value of
what the hell is going
and with no overhead because it was just a recorder. Like
well, I mean, and it's gonna hurt your heart, but you would have to split that 2 ways.
It's just not for me.
I don't know if you want to get into that, but the overhead,
and you will have to read.
My overhead is Joe Coy.
Even here, people talk about us, and because we have 2 employees now. We have Sam.
You have to
Travis, and even then, I think we're a little stretched. I mean, we Tony helps out.
Our merch guy
and Eric, and we have these people that are like part timers. But even then, it's like. Like you guys with that many, we're not even close to that, but with that many downloads, you'd be like, oh my God, you could build your compound.
Well, yeah, you could build a compound.
And I'm sure that's what Joe's doing, and good for him.
Like off the air, I'll tell you, like, I don't want to give all the secrets away, but it's just an amazing thing to watch, see, because I'm from TV too.
Sure.
So I see everything they're doing over there, and I'm like, man, this is how you do it. This is how you freaking do it. And I'm so glad that I get happy when people make their own success and take their life by their hands and bet on themselves and make it out. And you guys are doing that.
Joe's been doing it for, thank you for that. But Joe, like, it's so funny to see him doing that now. Like, I remember when he was my favorite character on news radio.
Yeah.
You know, like
absolutely.
You know, it was my mom's favorite television show, so I had to watch it. There's no choice. We had one TV. We didn't have a lot of money. You know, it's not like I'm going to go into my bedroom and watch. The kids that have TVs in their bedroom, that's crazy talk. But yeah, I watched him there. To see him now, I'm like, how long ago was that? My God, how long have you been in entertainment successfully?
Yeah, and it seems though like to build a successful podcast, you have to have an audience. Like I don't know, like people ask like, well, how do you become successful in podcasting? And I'm like, well, if you don't already have an audience or some base, I don't know, because I don't know how you're going to start with nothing and build your podcast.
Specialized topics
specialized, or like they say, the best way to get people to listen to your podcast is to go on to other people's podcasts.
Yeah.
Podcasting is the only thing that helps other podcasting. You can do all the television you want. Those people that are watching TV, a lot of them don't listen to podcasts. But like if you do a run, like when I start my podcast, if Joe Rogan invites me back, that'll be a step. And then I'll go to, I love like my podcast would be more like top 40. I would still talk about pop culture stories since it'll be daily, but mix in experts and different things. So I would go on like all different types of podcasts. I wouldn't have a certain type. I would go on the family podcast. If there's there's this parenthood one I'm about to go on because I'm a father.
Yeah,
so
well, I think your son is 2.
2. He's 2 years old.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's
I have
the best.
a 3-year-old. She'll be 4 tomorrow. That's
really?
Weird. And then you have a 5 and a 3.
That you leave outside the bathroom. You're the worst father in here. How's that feel?
Well, like I said,
fine. I'll
the
take
5
that.
is with Joe Coy. The 3 is still with you and Crystal.
All right.
How's it been being a father?
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It really, you know, he's 2, so now he's getting it. Like, you know, the first year they're just a blob. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
Then about a year and a half, they start getting a little bit. But now he can't say everything he wants to say, but he has a full-on conversation. You're like, like that video that went viral with that guy. Like, literally, he's just
I was cracking up watching you on Sway talking about, this is when your son was 20 months, and you're like, this motherfucker's just like straight shit-talking me.
Oh, yeah.
He's
yeah.
like, you know, like
because I'll tell, like, it's crazy when, because I'll tell him no, like every parent, you go, no.
Yeah.
And then I asked him one time, I go, what'd I say? And he goes, no. I was like, what? Like, you can't. I'm like, hey, you weren't supposed, because I was telling you what I say as a threat, not for you to actually tell me what I said.
He's got jokes.
Yeah, you got jokes, yeah. Because I said, no, don't do that. No, what I say. And he goes, no. I'm like, whoa.
The other thing I found interesting, and I don't know if Tom or Sam even know this, but you know, not that it's a weird thing, but you're married to a white woman, but she's from Wyoming, and it's Trump City there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
I know. Yeah. Her parents voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that?
Oh, they
How's
don't.
that Thanksgiving
How's
dinner?
that go down? Like,
There's no politics talked at the table. It's a thing where her father has still come over and watch Fox News at my house. So we've had discussions. No, we haven't had discussions. She's like, well, just tell him. I'm like, no. I'm not going to tell him.
It's like
just
me
don't talk
talking
about
about watching the news radio. Sometimes you just got to watch it.
You know, and it's not even worth the discussion. So, but they look. Who they voted for is who they voted for. But my thing is, in my stand-up shows, I don't talk politics.
Yeah.
So I just tell my stories, and it really brings everybody together. So, I mean, let me tell you this about the 2 nicest people you will ever meet in your life. Reason they voted for Trump was because business at the time. They were like, oh, I own my own business. And now, you know, now they're like, okay. So, but like in my stand-up, I don't talk politics. It's more about family. It's more about love. It's more. So it's like Joe Coy. Like Joe Coy doesn't talk. Since he's my mentor, we have the same mannerisms on stage. You know, we talk about our moms. My mom's Asian and Korean and says all kinds of stuff. My dad's black. He's has a PhD in nuclear physics. So yeah,
there it is.
I was going to ask you about, like, because I read some interviews and you were talking about how Joe Coy,
Army doctor.
Huh?
Military dad.
He was
right?
a military dad.
Army?
Of course. How else he's going to meet a Korean woman?
Oh, that
Bring over, you know?
totally makes sense.
Yeah, right.
I'll be over here if you need me.
The Army. Yeah, met her over there, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was fighting for a different cause over there. He was fighting for the ass. That's what he was fighting for.
How'd you end up meeting Joe Coy? And was it the you know, your mother and those stories that bonded you guys? You know, because he talks about a lot about his parents.
It's crazy. We met on Chelsea, and on Chelsea lately, I said I was going to try stand-up, and all the comics laughed at me.
Okay.
The only two that were very supportive was Joe Coy and Josh Wolf. And
We love Josh Wolf.
yeah,
Josh
both
Wolf's
guys.
a
He's good
dude.
to us, man.
Great dude. So Joe, after I went up in Miami, I did my first time and fell in love with it. Joe goes, he pulls me to the side. He's like, hey, I'm going to help you out with this. Just do this. If you ever sit down to write a joke, don't ever do that. If you sit down to write a real story, that's where you want to be at. Because he goes, because after I learned, and I was like, why does that make so much sense? He goes, because your dad is black, your mom's Asian, your life is such great comedy that nobody's ever heard and nobody can steal it. You're not at a club talking about, oh, here's a dating app. Like every comic is talking about that.
Yeah.
He says, be your real self. And then what I learned through comedy is people outgrow jokes, but they don't outgrow you. So if they love you more than all your jokes, then they'll follow you. You become a real life sitcom to them.
That's one of the best things said on this show.
Yeah.
That's really good, man.
People will like. Okay,
is that from you or did Joe say that?
That's from me.
Yeah,
but that's from
good,
learning
man.
from Joe. And
That's
I will
good.
I will tell you this. My third month of doing comedy, I did the improv in in Hollywood, California.
Wow.
And it was called Comedy Juice. It's still going on over there. And I went up in the middle of the lineup, did solid. It was a great set. The last dude destroyed. Joe Coy came. Last dude destroyed. We were walking out. Joe Coy goes, you had the best set of the night. I go, no, I didn't. The last guy, everybody did better than me. He goes, no. I know your name. I know about your parents. I know about your life. I know you. He goes, everybody else was just funny. He goes, that last guy, what was his name? I go, I don't know. He goes, tell me something about him. I go, he was funny. Yeah. And everybody had just left going, that last guy, we don't know his name, but he's funny.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
He goes, but when people are leaving you, that Michael Yo guy, the black and Asian, his mom's Asian, his dad's black, like they know about you. They can fall in love with
Character development.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So he goes,
man.
they need to fall in love with you more than your jokes. Because there's a lot of comedians that were big years ago because they were just jokes, but people didn't fall in love with them.
Damn it, I love it when we have these guys come in here and just spit straight knowledge.
Yeah,
on us,
spit
and I
out.
learn.
But that's the same. That's why people love podcasters. Like that's because your life is out there. They're invested in you. So if you take the same mindset to that as comedy, if people love you, fall in love with you with your real stories, then they'll stay with you a lot longer. That's why Joe's selling out 40,000
He's killing
seats
it.
Yeah.
He's
in
killing it.
Hawaii and different
I
places.
don't know if we'll get
Hey,
him back in here because I don't know if he's gonna be sliding through the improv. Like, no offense, I'm just saying. I don't know.
He'll be
Maybe
sliding-
at Hard Rock Live.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
happened
he'll
with
be
Bert
doing your
Kreischer,
arena.
too. Kreischer
Yeah.
used to always be, I'll sleep on your couch. I'll go on your cruise. Here's some tequila. Now it's like, man. Segura,
Good
same
theaters.
way. Oh, come on in. No.
Yeah. Well, Segura did wear that Tom and Dan chair one time.
What? I swear to God, he punted it right to the fucking trash. I know he did. Or he wiped his mouth with some wing sauce on it and threw it in the trash.
But but you're 100% correct.
that's good, man.
It's you probably once you realize that it was probably a relief because you're like, well, I could do that. Like that makes sense.
And because I'm not, I'm not a joke writer. I'm a true story. I'm a storyteller that's funny.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I tell real stories, but they're funny and everyone can relate to them.
Yep.
So that's where I am. But I feel that Joe Coy's the same way. I've never seen Joe Coy with a pad or pizza paper. I've never written a joke. I've actually never sat down and written a joke. Because all my stuff is real. So it's the only thing I'll do is write bullet points to remember the stories.
Sure. Yeah.
And then as you work on the story, you'll find the jokes within that story.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where I am in comedy, and that's why I think I can pump out so much new stuff. My special just dropped, Blasian. Like
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. You can watch it free on Amazon.
Amazon
right now?
Prime.
Yep.
Watch it free on Amazon Prime.
If you're Amazon Prime, which most people in our Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live, I know you are.
Wow,
because
that's a
you're-
long address, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what they gave
Twitch.com.
us. I gotta say it fast. But they're in the chat room. You guys, because you've already subscribed to us, you can watch the special for free. Which, by
that's
the way,
dope.
that's some 5-star shit, man. Like their ratings, like
Dude,
people love that.
Let me
thing.
tell you, man.
Did you know it was going to be that big?
No.
It's
No.
huge.
I
It's
mean-
one of the most high-rated comedy specials.
Yeah.
When you're looking at all of them, just look for the 5 stars. You'll find it.
It is, and it blows me away, man. It really, and if anybody watches it, I didn't know how much that meant, the stars and the comments, but I've gotten a sitcom deal from it. I've gotten
Good for you, man.
I've
That's
gotten
awesome.
3 different deals from this stand-up special. And when I put it out, you just want people to see it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but
I caught a little bit of it this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to watch the whole thing.
no problem,
I'll probably finish it at the house. But the even in the trailer, I think the clip about the baby picture.
Oh, the ugly baby.
Yeah.
I was the ugly baby.
And he looks like an old man.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah, it's really funny.
It's a
really
thing where I
funny.
use pictures from my life.
Yeah.
So because like Joe's advice, get people invested in you. So I wanted them to know where I came from, and I'm just blown away. Like
It's a brilliant idea of doing here's my resume. My special is my resume.
That's
This
what it is.
Me.
That's what it is. And let me
brilliant.
tell you, and what's amazing about it is when it came out, and there are a lot of comedians that are way bigger than me that are on Amazon Prime, but I have way more stars than them, 5-star reviews.
Yep.
And then I was thinking, wow, I never left a review for somebody to go out of their way to give you 5 stars and to write. I mean, like writing emotion. Because
Passion.
it's not just funny. It's an emotional roller coaster. Like because I tell my real life. So there's ups and downs. So it's a thing. It's at like almost, it's 115 5-star reviews. And it's just like keeps killing. It keeps going up every single day. And people starting to notice it. Like you said, when you look at the highest rated comedy special, mine is one of the highest
It
rated.
rolls right in there. That's something to be like super proud of.
Yeah.
I think it goes
My
back
God.
to what you said. It's people.
It's authentic.
It's authentic. They like hearing about you. They like you. They're invested in you, and then they're like appreciate that as opposed to
And my thing is, with this world being what it is, you know, no matter what side of the fence you're on politically, when somebody tells you a real story and it hits home, it doesn't matter what color you are. You can relate to it. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about my stand-up. Where I was in Kansas City, 5 Trump guys came with caps on, sat in the front row. Because I was on TV, they wanted to challenge me because they said I wasn't going to talk politics. And they were with their wives. And after the show, they came up to me and literally said, we came to see if you really wouldn't talk politics. And you did. Yeah, they were egging me on by wearing the caps and stuff. And they said, our wives are the ones that convinced us to come. And they said, this guy is not that guy. But let me tell you something. We understood what you went through. Because I talk a lot about growing up in an all-white neighborhood. And and they go, we understand. They said, we wish more people could, tell us how they feel like you did. You know what I mean?
Well, there'd be less ignorance because you'd have to understand because you're hearing what people went. Yeah.
Well, and also, I'm not yelling at you. I'm telling you my story.
Yeah.
And I'm not attacking you. Like anytime you start a conversation where like, you suck, you're an ass. All right, let's talk. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what? But hey, this is what happened to me. If that opens your eyes, you're like, wow, that's messed up. I'm sorry that, not I didn't do it too, but people of our color did that to you.
Yeah.
Because people of my color did things that like Asian people have done stuff to me. But that's the thing. I talk about everything.
Right.
Like I'm not just like white people did this to me. No, black people have done stuff to me. Asian people have done stuff to me. Like I feel there's a big ignorance out there when you don't experience something. You don't know it's around. So it's not racist that you said it, a lot of it. Now, there are racist
Tom
people.
Van syndrome. If he doesn't experience it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. But how I know this is I married a white woman from Wyoming.
Yeah.
She didn't know anything. I mean, she would see it on the news, like black people get arrested, black people get shot. I would imagine she didn't pay much attention to it because she never had to deal with that. But since our son is multicultural, she pays a lot of attention to it now.
Yeah.
Like she notices everything now.
Don't mess with her boy.
Yeah, and like in this is when I was on Joe Rogan, we talked about this. Is I was driving to Vegas, I got pulled over by a cop. My wife is in the back with our baby. The cop gives me a ticket. I was speeding. I said, absolutely, I'm speeding. Please, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Cop walks off, done with the ticket. My wife rolls down the window and starts questioning him about pulling us over. And I'm like, excuse, and I can't yell at her because now I'm yelling at a white woman.
Yeah.
But that just shows like she has no, she had no frame of mind that is wrong because she never had to deal with
fish
it.
out of water. Like, that's not a
So
scenario
it's
she
not,
does
it's
anything
not
about.
like,
She's getting out of the car, like reaching the
With the baby. Yeah, with
like
the
literally
baby.
she's talking trash to this cop.
No.
Like, how do you know it was our SUV? Because what happens in Vegas when you go from LA to Vegas, planes pull you over.
Yes.
So
They
a
got
plane
flying
will
over.
radar.
Yeah.
So my wife rolls down the window and goes,
shit.
excuse me. I would just like to know, a plane radared us. And so we're the right car? And he was like, yes, ma'am. Well, I just saw one black SUV. Oh, there's another 3. She was pointing at all the black SUVs that were passed. How do you know it's not them? How do you know it's us? If we go to court, will you show up? Can we get out of this ticket?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
She's throwing us straight Gillette, Wyoming, right? And then where she's from, Gillette, Wyoming,
I'm like,
just fucking shade to this
and I'm
guy.
like, baby. And I'm like, baby, I'm speeding. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
No, it's not all good because a plane pulled us up.
She's asking for his badge number. What's your badge number?
I know.
No, never ask for the badge.
My wife, white, is turning black all over. Like, I know you didn't pull us over.
Sassy.
And then I'm like, oh my, and I can't yell. Because I don't want to yell at a white woman in a car with a white cop. You threatening one of us?
That's just a wise choice on your part.
But my thing goes back to, and my show is not like that, but my thing goes to is that if you don't know, you don't know, and you don't really educate yourself today about things you don't really know about.
It's all really
Now, there are
ignorance,
racist people, but there are a lot of people that say stupid shit where they're not even racist, they just don't know.
Yeah. It goes back to intention, and me and Daniel have been big about this lately. Like, what is that person's
what's the
intention
intent when they say something?
Yeah. So, like, you don't get mad at.
We had some listeners that emailed us because I forget what we were doing, and somebody used the term. It might have even been me that said tranny. I didn't know that was a slur, and then we had a transgender person email me and be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna break it down for you." I'm like, "Oh,
as long
I
as
got it now. Good, thank you for that."
And that's my thing with comedy. With my comedy, like I said, no politics, but it's a fun family thing that everybody can identify with, no matter what color. But you do understand my story. And the thing about those guys in the Trump cap, they said, "Man, I wish we had a guy like you. We would vote for a guy like." They basically said you would be a perfect person for like a president, the type of message you give, because you're not yelling, you're just saying, this is my side of the story. Do you understand?
I think we had that for like 8 years, right? Like,
but then the good thing is they bought all my shit. Score!
Yeah.
Trump people got money.
It is a shame that it's seemingly so divided, and with people not realizing that everybody's really just the same. I mean, there's a lot of differences, and people grow up differently, but they have similar experiences that everybody can relate to if they just talk to each other.
You just need to talk. And here's the problem with, like, 10 years ago when I got into celebrity entertainment news, my friend worked at CNN and made fun of me. He was like, that's just now the real news. I'm talking about CNN, NBC, MSNBC, and Fox. They all are worse than celebrity news.
Yep, yeah.
100%. Like for instance, and I don't defend Trump much, but when Trump said about Meghan Markle, "Oh, I didn't know she was nasty," for news to make a big deal. Now, this is my point of view. For news, like a CNN goes, "Oh, they called the prince or the Dutch of whatever she is nasty," he would just goes, like, that's the wrong thing to blow up on the news. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much other significant stuff. Now you're being tabloidy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because all he said was, she said all this mean stuff about you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know she was nasty. And nasty, he calls her. And I was like, that's why people hate the news right now, because you're taking something so small to a lot of people that are on his side. Even me. I'm not even on his side, but I can understand why that's annoying. And if I was on his side, I'd be like, this stupid shit is happening. You're taking this offhanded, like, he says a lot of bad things, but you're taking this offhanded thing and going, now this is a story because he goes, I didn't know she was nasty. Like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. I'm sorry. It's not.
And then you see tons of stories like this, both sides, and just nonsense until people get tired of it. They're just like...
It's like children bickering.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then it's guard. You're right. And it's like, back in the day, maybe legitimate, I put that in quotes, like news organizations would be like, oh, you're just entertainment news. And now everything's just entertainment news. Everything's
I am
bullshit.
telling you, and it's not just this president. Like, you got to remember, like, even when Barack Obama was in there, like it was a big story about his tan suit and him riding a bicycle with a helmet. It's like, are you serious?
I love the helmet one.
It's like, are you serious?
Funny.
Is this really a big deal? So I think for both sides, what you need to do is news. I tell you how to fix all this problem. If I'm president, Michael Yo 2020. No,
you got 5 votes.
What happened is when news relied heavily on ratings, that's when they went so salacious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that keeps people around. If you want to get news back on track, whoever's president or the next president or whatever, news shouldn't be rated. It should just be news. So then guess what? They don't need to be salacious anymore to hold viewers, because today and time, ratings is what's killing the news, and they're just telling you what you want to hear. If you hate somebody, they're just going to give you all the reasons to hate them. If you love that person, they're going to give you only reasons to love them, and there's not both.
Yeah. You have to play to your audience and then keep your audience. And it's just, I mean, and now everything's so segmented. I was going to ask you about this because I've been kind of obsessed. I'm sure our listeners are tired of me talking about it, but it just seems like there's an infinite amount of content out there now, and there's so much to watch that it segments audiences down to smaller.
It drives me away from. It makes me go into like comfort zone. Like, so I go for things that I used to do, like reading. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it does that to some people, but also back to your point, what it does is you just keep reading the same things from the same
perspective.
Like, if you like this one website, you will keep going there, so it keeps feeding you that food.
Your confirmation bias, man. You got to get in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I can argue both sides. Like, I've always educated myself where I could tell you what's good about Trump. I can tell you what's bad about Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love that he's going after NATO. I think we do pay too much. I think other countries should help out. And I could say a bunch of negative stuff about him too, but I can tell you positives about him. You know what I mean? But I think that's how you go into an argument, where I think a lot of people in politics that are uneducated about politics, they're just yelling out the headline and not knowing any facts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, Obama's going to raise your taxes. Okay. Do you make over $250,000? No, I make 40. Well, he's not going to touch your taxes. You know what I mean? And my thing is not defending Obama right here. I'm just saying you need to know your facts. Like the headline, Donald Trump calls Meghan Markle nasty. Nah, it was just like the actions she did were nasty. He didn't call her nasty. It's clickbait.
Well, yeah, it
and
is
it's
to
like,
get you in there.
And it's a thing where it enrages. Like, it's just, when news is like celebrity news now, I think it's shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And it makes people fortify themselves into their own bubbles, because like
which then creates paranoia and weirdness.
Because then they'll be like, all right, well, these people on my social media feed, I don't like what they're saying, so I'll block them and get rid of them. I'll only keep the people that reinforce what I believe.
Yeah.
Then I'm only going to watch all my news and entertainment from sources that they're telling me what I want to hear.
Yeah.
And then now that creates a like almost radicalized people. I mean, that's what the anti-vaxxers and all these, like, they just get in their bubbles and they're like, I'm only going to listen to
you know what it's like?
Here.
It's like
weird.
You're getting your own yes men.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're surrounding yourself with your own yes men
in an incubator, man. Because then it festers. And, it gets bigger.
And
because
it's funny because as like we know that any celebrities that surround themselves with yes men and their entourage
doesn't end well.
It doesn't end well with them. But we're doing it as a society to ourselves.
And you're doing to yourself. Yeah. You're surrounding your own self with whatever you want to hear about the other party. Like, I think there's a big space in news without pundits. Like, because here's the thing. The people will put on the most outrageous pundits to say the most outlandish stuff because they know that's good TV. Yeah. I think there's a big, even a podcast to tell both sides of the story. Like, if you know a lot about politics, there's a huge opening for a person to go, I like this about this, but here's the other side of this, and go both sides of both sides of the fence. Republican and Democrat. I think there's a big opening for that. It's not me because I'm not super educated on it,
of course,
but that's kind of like what I bring to my comedy is my story of being challenged racially when I was young, and then that challenge keeps happening today. But it's also a benefit of what I am now. You know, like TV wants me on, because of how I look. Where before I was made fun of how I look because I was mixed. Now TV is like, oh, you're the look we want. So to go from being made fun of, you know, being called nigga chank and all this kind of crazy stuff growing up, to now like, oh my God, you're
being revered for the way you look.
Like half black is in now. You know what I mean? You got Tiger Woods, you got Steph Curry, you got me, you had I mean, come on, I'm happening now.
It's your time.
I'm all the rage.
You can take over entertainment.
That's Asian comedy is
Asians are blowing up too.
Right
crazy. And I'm both. Come on now.
I watched. What was the movie? It's on Netflix now.
Crazy Rich Asians?
No, not that
Always
one.
Be My Baby.
No,
Maybe.
it's the female comedian. She's in
Ali Wong.
Ali Wong. She's in American Housewife. Her movie, and it's really good.
Oh, Always Be My Baby.
I
Always
just said
Be My-
that.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
All right,
You know what?
That's fine.
Correct. Oh, yeah, it's a good movie. You know, like she's super fucking funny.
Motherfucker.
Never mind that. You know
No,
what?
what did you say? Yes.
Yeah,
Whatever. I barely.
No,
You know
but-
what? I've been argumentative. I apologize.
No,
Loose
but
lips.
yeah, I think it's a great movement, and it's a thing where, you know, I love to bring my ethnicity up, and I love to talk about family, and that's what the shows do, man. That's what they do.
I got a couple quick questions because like I
We
wrote
need
it
to get
down.
this guy to bed,
I
too.
know. When you when you're back when you were interviewing like the most famous celebrities.
Yep.
I was curious of how you prepared for those interviews because, like you said, you're trying to create moments and you're trying to get like
Yeah.
So I assume you're gonna stay away from the stereotypical questions they get asked all the time, and you're trying to like hit them with something, but not too. There's a balance.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, when you work for a network, your job is sometimes to ask that question. If they just got divorced, if they just got a relate, you have to ask it. That's your job.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and if you don't ask it, you won't have a job. You know, because if you become to get that rep where they won't ask the hard question, then you won't ever work. But my thing is like, what happens is they'll give you, where you work at, they'll give you like 3 or 4 questions. And then you have to come up with the moment. So, and other questions, you know, so I'll ask like 3 or 4 questions I'm interested in. They'll give me 3 or 4 questions they want. One might be salacious or a hard question to ask. And then another one will be some type of moment game or some type of moment getter I can get them. So that's how I go into it. So I always have about 8 to 10 questions. I only really do like 5 to 6, but I'll start off with the generic, we're here so they can promote their thing. And then after they answer that question, I go into the bit to get the moments because I end on the hard hitting question.
Gotcha. So you worked out a formula.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like was there any scenarios that went horribly wrong?
The last question go horribly wrong and they just walk off. But the interview's over anyway. So you're like, all right.
Yeah.
At
least it's your closer.
Yeah.
You know?
So your ego takes a hit and you look like stupid on the red carpet when they just walk away. I've never had that happen, but I think it's also being from radio gives us an advantage because we know how to pepper them up for the question.
And
we
you're
know how to
reading them too, right? I mean, like obviously.
Well, I mostly have them memorized, but I know.
No, I mean like feeling out looking at their face and feeling out.
A lot of reporters are just robots. What do you think about this? How do you do that? Like me, I'm reading them, having them joke, and I go, I'll either just, like for instance, they wanted me to ask, this is one of my first interviews with Jennifer Aniston. It was at Marley and Me.
Yeah.
And she just broke up with Brad Pitt.
Oh, God.
And they wanted me to ask about, not necessarily that, but to get some type of clip from that. So what I did was I go, Jennifer, we're at Marley and Me. What's the difference between a man and a dog? And she laughed and goes, oh, my goodness. Dogs are so much more loyal. So just by her saying that, she just got out of an interview with Brad Pitt. She, I'm talking about men being dogs. So she goes into more of an answer too. That was the clip. And could she be talking about Brad Pitt? I don't edit it. But I know that's what they want.
But in your mind too, you're like,
in my mind, that's a moment because, she's comparing a man to a dog. And the latest man in her life was Brad Pitt. So in my mind, like Justin Timberlake, when he broke up with Britney way back in the day, I played the word association game and I got to love. And he didn't want to talk about Britney. And I go, love. And man, he just went into, sometimes love, you just think, it's the right person, it's the right thing. Then all of a sudden stabs you in the back. And everybody knows he's talking about Britney, but I never brought up Britney.
Yeah. It's brilliant, man.
It's ways to ask questions without asking
being
the question.
blatant,
Well, you brought up Britney Spears, and my wife follows Britney Spears on Instagram.
Oh, man, it is bananas.
Is it getting crazy?
Oh,
yeah, dude. I tagged
It's
you in
sad.
one of the posts.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you got to look at
What's
this
up with
now.
her eye makeup? Can we talk
I
about that?
don't know.
Uh-oh.
It's like she's using charcoal.
Does she not know it doesn't look good? Do you really
she
think she's
doesn't.
looking
Going
at
for
the camera?
the double smoky?
She's got double smoky and then the rattiest of extensions.
And it seems
Are we
like
gonna get a shaved head again? I hope so.
you know.
I don't know.
I enjoyed that time.
It's not
Well,
looking good.
What's sad is that like it's some sort of mental illness, and you can
Yeah.
see it
I
in
mean,
her
she-
eyes.
she-
Like you look at it and you're like, I'm looking for the person, and when you can't find it, you're
Yeah.
like,
She's got
man,
shark eyes right now.
that's
Right.
the
She
Yeah.
does.
Shark
It's like you look into her eyes and there's just
Nothing
like,
there.
hey.
Well, now I gotta see it.
Have you ever had an interview with a celebrity that was going through a
Steve-O.
Steve-O.
I
yeah.
literally
we
thought he
had
was-
Steve-O in here.
I literally thought he was going to die when I interviewed him.
With that was probably during his drug use and everything. Yeah.
like literally sweating, breathing, like didn't know what he was talking. Even his publicist, like I literally thought he was going to die. At the
during
studio.
the interview.
Oh
During-
my
no,
God.
no, serious. Like die during the interview. That's how bad he was. I've never seen. And the interview we cut short to only like 3 minutes. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I thought whatever he was on must have hit him as soon as he walked in. I mean, he was just slurring. He couldn't keep his head up. I thought he was going to die.
Wow.
Right there.
Yeah. Then what do you do at that point? Do you
I
like,
just
do you
said, "Hey,
look at
man."
someone like, hey,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
looked at
problem.
the publicist and I was like, dude, this I don't.
Yeah. And then
And
they
we
just,
went to commercial, man.
and they just pull him out, and
They just pulled him out and he was gone.
It is
Oh,
a
man.
shame what
Like it wouldn't have surprised me if I would have read a report later that he died. Like he was so messed up on
Wow.
my show. And it's good that he's sober now, I believe. And he's
yeah,
doing
yeah.
his
We've
thing.
had him in here after he's sober.
and he's a great
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
He is
but
very nice, very
literally-
inspiring. You know.
Yeah,
and-
literally that day, I thought he was going to die in the studio.
Do you think because a lot of people they equate the celebrity, the stardom to driving people crazy, but what they don't realize probably is like maybe these people had some underlying mental issues before, and then that mixed with this crazy new life can make people act crazy.
Well, I was talking to one of these celebrities I became friends with, and you know they depression in quotes, I guess. You know, I don't know if they're really depressed, but they say they go through depression. And I said, why? You got everything. And they go, and he said this, and this was very interesting. He goes, when I was young, I used to think if I get fame and fortune, that would solve everything. Then you get fame and fortune and everything you want, and all you can blame is yourself now for your unhappiness.
Uh-huh.
You don't have anything else to blame it on.
Yeah.
So now when you start blaming yourself, that brings you to a low place. Like the only way to get out of this unhappiness is to eliminate myself. And I never thought about it like that because people always go, oh, if I had more money, we'd be fine. My life would be better. If I had fame, my life would be fine. If I had money and fame, my life would be great. And then you get it all and you're in a nice house and you're doing all that, but you're still lonely and depressed and you have nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah. And then you don't have that thing that you could be like, oh, this will fix it if I
Absolutely.
get this thing.
There's
Because you
nothing else
have
that-
it,
you
and you're
have-
like, there's nothing else, and they're like,
You have
I'm
the-
still mad. Yeah.
You have the best therapist, you have the best everything. So if you don't fix it yourself, then, you know, you stay depressed.
Yeah, and I can imagine that leads to the ultimate sadness of,
Yeah.
hey, there's nothing else
Yeah.
that I could do
Yeah.
except for
And
change
so-
what my brain does, and that's a hard thing to do.
And so I remember we talking about this after a celebrity committed suicide, and I said I don't understand how people can take their own life, and he explained it to me that way, and I go, oh, okay. If you're in that mindset where you're not in a good place, and you think other things can fix it, and once those things don't fix it, you can go to a very dark place, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And also has like with. I wanted to talk to you about like terrestrial radio real quick and like TV and where do you think that's all going, like, because we've had conversations a lot of times and there's something near and dear to me and Daniel's heart about radio just because that was our start and like
I love
specifically
radio.
talk
I'm
radio.
not sure I like where it's kind of maneuvering itself, and I'm glad that we have this ability to podcast. And radio's always been good to me, but it's way different than it was when I started.
Well, it's very rare now that you'll find here's what's interesting to me about terrestrial radio is I really feel that, you know, I get when they went to People Meter. People Meter, by the way, for people listening, is people wear these little gadgets
PPM,
and it records what people listen to. So I understand why music works so much, but still, if you go to the biggest markets and the question they ask, because I've been on the other side where I was in management, is they ask, do you want to hear music or talking in the morning? And of course, everybody's going to pick music. The questions put out there wrong. It's, do you want to hear music or talk you're interested in? Then you would get a completely different answer, because the radio stations, they want to play music and they want to shut the DJs up a lot of times. So they go with the terrible question.
Yeah.
Do you music or talk? Of course they're going to pick music.
So they're trying to get the answer they want. I mean, it's cheaper to put music in the mornings than it is to
100%.
have a guy there doing research and trying to come up with something compelling.
But if every big market that has the biggest morning show, they talk the most out of all the morning shows.
Right.
So,
correct. So it's yeah, you're right. The answer in what you're looking at,
they're getting through research the answer they want, but in reality, what they don't want is actually, if people like that morning show, like, just think about all Elvis in the morning in New York.
Yeah.
Talks more than any other morning show. I could go market by market. The biggest morning shows talk the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when Howard Stern was in New York, he talked the most. You know, he was all talk. You know, so it's a thing where I feel that, the industry is great. I love terrestrial radio. I love, you can feel it in that city. That's what, because I do satellite. And you don't really feel it, like, because it's spread out.
Yes,
but when you're in one city and you feel, there's nothing like that. You know what I mean?
We've never really had that. I mean, only in Orlando.
Yeah.
But I
but
can
still,
only imagine.
you feel it in Orlando.
You do,
Yeah.
And, and it's immediate. There is some it's like more the contact. It's.
I always thought, like, now, especially with what we did to transition, I looked at the business and I was like, well, what keeps any of these giant shows from one day just saying, like, okay, you don't want to pay, I'm just going to literally build a studio for now. You could do it really cheap. I mean, our studio wasn't that expensive at all. We're definitely within the realm of any of these richer guys than us. And then just immediately start putting out content to our own audience ourselves. I mean, I guess it's easier said than done, because then you got to build a business, get advertisers and all that stuff. But they can do it now, as opposed to before, like, you had non-compete in that area. And there was a lot of barriers. But now it's just like, flip the switch and just immediately start broadcasting.
Well, here's the reason why you can't do that, is because I mentioned Elvis, but Elvis is a machine. You know what I mean? He's so big. If you can't do that, like you said, if you don't have a name already in a market. You have to have significant time in a market to execute that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you were saying earlier, work for somebody until you get to a point where whatever you're doing can take off.
You should do both. You know what? But like you said, now they're caught on the pod. So
they won't let you.
No radio company will let you do your own pod. So what you got to do is blow up your pod and then go to radio with saying, no, you need to make your pod so big radio still wants you. Then you can go in, still do your pod, and do their radio show.
Yeah. You can't do.
That's
you can't start
sort of what we did here. Yeah, they hired us back to be their night show.
See?
So when you were doing mornings this morning, we're the night show 7 to 9 there.
Yeah.
So we do it here.
Yeah.
And then we just drop box it down the lane.
Oh, see, there you go. See, and that's what happens. Once your pod gets to a certain level, then they want you back. And this is what I learned about business. You're never appreciated the first time you're there, but you're always appreciated more the second time you're there.
You're right.
And you get, because the first time they're like, oh, we started you, we made you. And then the second time it's like, oh, okay, well, you're big now, so we want you. It's a big difference.
You're right. It is pretty amazing. I did two.
I learned so much from our comedian interviews, man.
I did 2 negotiations with the big higher ups of iHeart. I've done it with lower managers too, but the higher up, I talked to them twice. One time as them, basically, I came in as an intern or whatever, and that was completely different than the other time when they wanted something from us and they wanted us. It was way
different.
I threw out a number thinking, at first I was gonna wasn't even gonna use this number because I thought it was ridiculous. A lawyer said, use this number. And I'm like, dude, that's insane. No one's going to pay us. I'd use this number. And then I threw it out and they're like, all right.
Not only did you throw out a crazy number, you remember what you originally wanted the show to be called?
Oh, yeah. The
Coochie Cutters.
The original name of the show
they were just trying to be ridiculous.
Yeah, we were kind of fucking with them. That's the reason why a radio show is.
They probably would have went for
this
it.
is called A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. The radio show as a middle finger to them was called A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. But we said that and we're like, they'll never go for a corporate corporate time. We're basically telling them to go fuck themselves. They're like, we love it.
Well,
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
You're
You know,
100% right.
You're right.
If they want you, the conversation's
Well,
different.
but you made them want you because of the pod.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
the whole thing. You bet on yourself. And those opportunities will come back around. That's why I'm so excited to eventually start my own podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
Because I know it will get to a point where, it just, I don't know. I just feels right. It's like when I started comedy. I knew it was going to go the right direction and take off. It's just going to take work. And I feel the same about my podcast.
What excites me about you saying that is like, I can see it in your face, and I'm an old school radio guy, and like very similar, like we have that totally in common, and Tom knows I really love radio. Like I really do.
Yeah.
And I also got my feelings hurt by radio a little bit.
Yeah,
like
100%.
when I had to leave. And I still carry some weird resentment there about that.
Yeah.
But to see his eyes light up when he's talking about starting his podcast is how I feel. Like when I walk in here, this is like my little happy spot. Like all the little cameras and microphones and everything, and knowing I know how to edit it and putting everything together, and it's mine.
Yeah.
Man,
It's
I'm
the
telling
best,
you,
right?
There's nothing like it. There really is not.
It's like doing these shows at the Orlando Improv, crushing, walking off stage, going, "That was me."
Yeah.
Because one thing
you own it. That's your night.
And one thing I love about comedy is when you're in Hollywood, you go to a lot of castings, you get a lot of no's. But when you can go on stage and get 400 yeses at one time, it's so fulfilling and it keeps you motivated and going. And what I love about the stage is once you go on that stage doesn't care what race you are, doesn't care what doesn't care anything about you. It's just if you're funny. No matter who you go on before or no matter who you go on after. I've gone after heavy hitters and done well. I've gone after Seinfeld and crushed after. The stage does that, and I don't know. It's so freeing to me because that's the only place you're not judged until you're only judged by your product.
Yeah.
And I don't care what big executive hates you in Hollywood. If they're in that room, they don't fucking matter. In that room, they don't matter. Even if they aren't laughing and hate your guts, the other 399 people are laughing. Now they're the asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You win. Yeah.
And you win.
Yeah.
You win that night.
Yeah.
You might not win in the industry, but you win that night. Now, don't get me wrong. The politics to get to that stage is a whole nother conversation. But once you're on that stage, oh man.
And I heard you in an interview talk about, like, I think you were on the set of Modern Family one time, and everybody, like all the actors were impressed.
Yeah, Julie Bowen, Ty Burrell, they were like, "You do stand up? Oh my God, how do you do that?" I go, "Dude, you're on the #1 show. We just read. Stand up, we could never do that." It is the most respected thing in Hollywood. When I started,
because it's the hardest thing to do.
That's what they say. That's
Yeah.
what they say. And I remember going in for auditions, they would go, "Oh, you're a host. Here, read the lines." Now they go, "Oh my God, I saw you at the Improv, or I saw you there, and you can host, and you can. Oh, please do." So it's a whole different level that you're bringing when you walk into a room because they already know what you can do.
Sure.
And you're 100% right. Although I think being a good host like you are is completely underrated because people don't realize how difficult it is. Like, if people take it for granted because you make it look
the
easy.
plane's going down.
Oh man,
and you are able to save it,
dude.
Like some of the things that
that's impressive.
People
to me.
can go down the line and talk about some of the things that Tom and I've ever done and what we're most proud of. There are times when just silly things, like things that people wouldn't even. They'd be like, "You like that?" Like where we were hosting something for, like, let's say Orlando City, of the big soccer team here in town. We're on stage. There's billionaires in the room. There's 1,000 people in the room. We're the hosts. We're in tuxedos. We're up there, and it's fucking tanking. And somehow we do some joke and something, and we bring them all back, and it's all, and we saved it.
But man, it's difficult.
And
man.
I never want to do it again. Like I'd never. So hard.
I host a lot of events, but I will not host an event where I have to ask for money.
Yeah. God.
What is the auctioneer?
The auction, we've done those.
No,
it's the worst.
I will never do that. That is just the worst.
Especially
feeling.
when it's like for like childhood cancer, research, and nobody's giving money, and then you're like, well, fuck it.
I don't get asked to those. It's more of like rich people showing off their money. So I'm like, Nah.
Yeah.
But I just think it
Gotcha.
puts us in a bad position asking for money when we don't do it professionally. There's a profession in that. Like they're called auctioneers.
Yeah. They professionals do it.
Yeah.
One last question, Michael, because we ask every comedian that comes in here. Speaking of bad or awkward, events that you've had to host or doing stand up in front
bet
of.
you've
We
got
talked
plenty.
we talked to all the comedians. They usually have a story about doing a private event. Either some rich person wants
Could
you to
be
do
a
stand up at
corporate
their
event,
house, a
you know.
corporate or whatever, and it's not conducive for stand up, and it's just a weird situation.
Yeah.
And it ends up happening
Like
to most
a
comedians.
nightmare booking.
Number one, nightmare booking. I used to do colleges. And this is not even a booking. It's before it got to the booking.
Okay.
Is they got this thing called NACA. It's where all these it's all these college students, 17, 18, 19 years old. They book comedians to come to their school because they have God amount of money. And they got to spend it. So it's me and Eliza. Eliza goes first. I go after her. And this girl, I'll never forget her face. She walks up to me because you have to stand in a booth and they got to come by your booth and you meet all the colleges, the whole pony show. And the girl comes up to me and goes, well, we just booked Eliza and we're checking with our finances to see if we can book you too. So we really liked your stuff. And hopefully we have enough money to book you. But she was really like bratty about it. And in my mind, I walked out. I literally told the agent there, I was like, I'm not doing colleges anymore. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm letting a fucking 17-year-old. I'm a man.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
Depending on a fucking kid. And I know they're cursed. But this is what I'm waiting for a fucking kid to give me approval to come to your school.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Well, she know.
Fuck it. 17. I'm a
I like
man.
at 17, she's like, we liked your material.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
review
man.
it.
Yeah.
And
No. But that's when I was like, where did I get to this point? Because I was just doing colleges for fun, for extra money.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't need it.
Yeah, you
So-
get extra money.
And I
you're
understand
sharpening
if
your weapons.
and I was stupid.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe I can build a fan base in college. No, they don't have money. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
But I walked away that day. I quit that day of colleges, and I was like, how did I get to a place where I was in my 30s? I'm going, how do I get to a place where I'm letting a kid tell me, value me?
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah. I don't blame you. That's a goodie.
Nah, man.
Michael, thanks so much for the time.
Thank
man.
you, guys.
We really appreciate it. Go see him at the Orlando Improv. 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow.
Yeah.
More than likely, you're going to want to jump on that now.
Listen, when he starts his own podcast, he will never have to do any press again.
This is the last time you'll ever
he'll
see
literally
him here.
He'll tell his followers, like, hey, I'll be doing the Amway.
Because that's what you do.
That's
That's
what
what Joe does. Joe's like, hey, I'm going to be in Orlando.
No
and then
more-
it's sold out 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Like wacky morning radio, no more TV.
I'll do your. No matter how big, I make this problem. No matter how big I get, I will always do your podcast.
All right.
Because you guys are going to come to LA and set up my podcast.
We'll do it.
It's funny you say that. We'll be there in September, and we'll be talking to all of our, we're going to go hit up Josh. We're going to hopefully see Josh Wolf.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Ian Bagg. He already
Love Ian.
He already said we could come
Lunel.
and do his show. Lunel, we're going to her birthday party, and I think I'm going to make out with her.
There you go.
Crazy. We're just calling in all of our comedian
that's great.
friends, and we're heading.
Hopefully, mine will be up by then.
Man, if
we'll
you need
dim-
help, shit, I'll hook it up myself.
Oh, my God.
I'll wire everything, cable management, the
Look
whole
at that.
nine.
You can teach me everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we'll teach you all the. We'll
we'll
everything.
teach you what we know. I mean, it's not everything.
Yeah. You most likely you'll be like, I know that already. Get the hell out of here.
I'm fucking Asian, you idiot.
I'm Asian. I made this shit.
Exactly. 2 shows. You guys know the drill. TheImprovOrlando.com.
Also follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Please follow me on Instagram at Michael Yo. And you can also go to michaelyo.com for tickets.
There
Awesome.
you go. Guys, we'll see you on the Friday Free Show.